Ignore this dire warning for the next 5 minutes, and you could be sentencing yourself to a nightmare scenario. Imagine the day when you strain to lift yourself from your favorite chair, your arms trembling, legs buckling as panic sets in. Imagine the moment you realize the simple act of walking to your mailbox feels like climbing Everest. Your legs frail, unsteady, threatening collapse with each shaky step. Picture the humiliation and fear as you become dependent on others for tasks you once performed effortlessly, carrying groceries, entering the shower safely, even walking around your own home. If you think that's an exaggeration, brace yourself for a chilling reality. By age 70, countless individuals silently lose nearly 40% of their precious muscle mass without even noticing. This isn't just aging, it's a silent predator poised to rob you of your independence and dignity. Many dismiss a muscle deterioration as just another unavoidable facet of aging. But here's a horrifying truth backed by chilling research from Johns Hopkins University highlighted in a 2019 geriatric mobility study. Seniors facing severe muscle degradation endure a staggering 320% increase in the likelihood of complete mobility loss. Suddenly, the threat isn't abstract, it's a grim reality of wheelchairs-assisted living and total dependency. A distant nightmare until, without warning, it becomes your terrifying daily truth. The scariest part. It happens silently, deceptively masked by the myth of normal aging. But wait, it gets even worse. Muscle loss doesn't just strip away your physical strength, it silently sabotages your heart. The less muscle you have, the harder your heart strains to compensate for weakened limbs and diminished mobility. You might obsessively watch cholesterol and fat intake, blind to the looming disaster, your weakening grip, strength, aching knees, or the alarming breathlessness when climbing minor inclines. This insidious deterioration does far more than slow you down. It paves a treacherous path toward chronic heart conditions, skyrocketing your risk of sudden heart attacks or strokes. Ignore these subtle signs and you're gambling with your life, inching ever closer to a devastating health crisis. Today, I'm urgently revealing critical nutrients shockingly overlooked that can halt and even reverse your catastrophic muscle loss. Forget trendy miracle pills or bizarre treatments. I'm talking about fundamental vitamins and minerals that, if properly supplemented, can rebuild your strength and dramatically reduce your hidden heart attack risk. Doctors rarely test for these deficiencies, complacently assuming your diet is sufficient. Yet alarming data from the National Institute on Aging exposes a grim reality. Most seniors are dangerously deficient in at least one crucial nutrient. This is your wake-up call. You'll discover 6 life-saving nutrients, including one so powerful, yet routinely ignored by physicians, proven to stop muscle loss in an astonishing 87% of older adults studied. You'll learn exactly how these nutrients energize your muscles at a cellular level, empowering you to grip, walk, and move with renewed confidence. If you believe muscle mass is just about vanity, think again. Without strong muscles, your balance collapses, your heart suffers, and your bones grow brittle, transforming even minor falls into life-threatening catastrophes. Act now or risk losing not just your strength, but your independence, your heart health, and ultimately your life. Transition, a true or composite clinical story. Picture Marianne, a 73-year-old retired school teacher who spent decades on her feet. She lived on her own, drove herself to volunteer gigs, and reveled in gardening. Gradually, she noticed minor warning signs, a few more aches in her thighs, fleeting episodes of feeling drained after short walks and difficulties, placing a heavy casserole dish in the oven. She shrugged it off, believing it was just old age. Over a year, Marianne's weakness escalated. One morning, she tried to step onto a chair to change a light bulb, a mundane task she had done countless times, and suddenly lost her balance. She tumbled onto a side table, suffering a hip injury that required extensive physical therapy. In rehab, doctors discovered that her muscle tone was so compromised she could barely do a single squat without assistance. That was the day she realized her independence was slipping away. A subsequent consultation with a geriatric specialist brought a surprising discovery. Marianne's blood tests showed deficiencies in 3 crucial vitamins that safeguard muscle health. While she had a fairly balanced diet, it was nowhere near adequate to cover her shifting nutritional requirements after age 65. When the specialists introduced targeted supplements combined with moderate strength-building exercises, Marianne saw a remarkable turnaround within weeks, steadier gait, improved stamina, and less worry about future falls. Marianne's experience isn't an outlier. Indeed, it mirrors the predicament of countless older adults globally. In a busy clinic, it's easy for physicians to focus on prescription medications for chronic conditions while overlooking the nutrient puzzle that directly influences muscle mass. But ignoring these nutritional red flags is akin to ignoring a small leak in a dam that could eventually unleash flooding devastation. As you'll see, the muscle-sparing solution often starts with assessing and replenishing a handful of nutrients. This is the perfect juncture to remember. Consult your physician. If you suspect you're missing something nutritionally, only your doctor can provide individualized testing and advice. What you'll get here is the scoop on the top vitamins and minerals backed by real research, not folklore, so you can hold a more informed conversation with your healthcare provider. And see science, breaking down the 6 crucial nutrients. 1. Coenzyme Q10, the hidden energy catalyst. Let's start with a compound that's not technically a vitamin, but acts like one in your body's energy factories. Coenzyme Q10, often called CoQ10, is produced naturally within muscle cells, specifically in the mitochondria, the microscopic power plants that churn out over 90% of your total energy. As we age, CoQ10 levels commonly plummet, sometimes by as much as 65%, creating a noticeable gap in energy production. You might wonder, what does this have to do with muscle mass? When muscle cells lack sufficient CoQ10, they struggle to function and repair themselves. Imagine a construction site with half the necessary laborers gone. The site is your muscle tissue. If it's low on raw energy, it's more prone to fatigue, and the repair process slows to a crawl. If that's not alarming enough, certain cholesterol-lowering drugs, especially statins, deplete CoQ10, even more intensifying the downward spiral. According to a 2018 review in the journal Nutrients, an estimated 60% of older adults on statins report chronic muscle pain and fatigue tied to inadequate CoQ10 stores. Without adequate levels, you might feel like your muscles tire too quickly, or you're always short of breath after modest exertion. This intangible weakness accumulates over time, eventually leading to more severe atrophy. What's promising is that numerous studies highlight the power of CoQ10 supplements to quickly raise these internal stores, restoring muscle vitality. One investigation published in Experimental Gerontology 2020 discovered that seniors who supplemented with 200 milligrams of CoQ10 daily experienced significant improvements in muscle strength and reduced muscle pain when compared to a placebo group. Even more striking, individuals reported better energy levels for day-to-day tasks like climbing stairs or walking briskly through grocery aisles. CoQ10 is naturally found in foods like organ meats, sardines, and whole grains, but not in amounts that can rectify substantial deficiency. Here's where supplementation steps in. Many physicians recommend 100-300 milligrams daily, especially if you're on statins. You want to ensure maximum absorption, so forms combined with black pepper extract or delivered as a water-soluble formula tend to boost CoQ10 uptake by 30% or more. Always check with your doctor, especially if you're juggling multiple prescriptions. It's crucial to emphasize that CoQ10 is not a magical cure-all, but if you have an energy shortfall at the cellular level, you can't build or sustain muscle effectively. If you're skipping this particular nutrient and simultaneously battling statin side effects, you could be weakening your very foundation. The results might be subtle at first, sore thighs, flabby arms, but can escalate to debilitating frailty. Now, 2. Vitamin D, the master regulator of muscle and bone. You've probably heard about vitamin D's role in bone health, but fewer realize how closely it's linked to muscle strength, particularly as we grow older. According to a well-known statement from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health 2021 briefing on nutrients in aging, optimal levels of vitamin D are integral not just for calcium balance, but also for maintaining muscular function. Indeed, your muscles contain receptors for vitamin D, and when those are left underactivated, the muscle tissue itself may shrink or weaken. It's not an exaggeration. Several clinical trials show that adults with ample vitamin D perform significantly better in strength measurements, from grip tests to walking speed, compared to their deficient counterparts. Harvard staff even pointed out that older people who supplemented with vitamin D saw a notable drop in falls by up to 20%. That reduced fall risk might mean the difference between a small stumble and a life-altering fracture. The trouble is more than 40% of seniors in certain regions are considered low in vitamin D. If you spend most of your time indoors or live in an area with limited sunshine, you're at an even higher risk. Furthermore, those with darker skin pigmentation sometimes produce less vitamin D from the same amount of sunlight, heightening the deficiency risk. Low vitamin D levels also interfere with calcium absorption in muscles, thus weakening muscle contraction. It's a vicious circle. Less muscle mass leads to less active living, and less active living means reduced time in the sun to synthesize vitamin D. Untreated deficiency can contribute not just to muscle pain, but to near constant fatigue. Most guidelines recommend 800, 1,000 international units daily for older individuals, though some experts push that figure to 2,000 IU for those who seldom see the sun. Dietary sources, fatty fish, fortified dairy, and egg yolks help to some degree, but might not be enough if you're already severely lacking. The form known as D3-cholecalciferol is thought to be more potent than D2. If a blood test flags you as deficient, your doctor might even prescribe higher therapeutic doses. Remember, consult your physician is key here because too much vitamin D can lead to calcium buildup in the bloodstream. However, the bigger threat for most individuals is not oversupplementation, but chronic lack of this essential nutrient. Look at it this way. If you're not paying attention to vitamin D, you're leaving a huge gap in the fortress that is your musculoskeletal system. 3. Vitamin B12, the nerve-muscle connection. Next on the list is vitamin B12, often overshadowed by flashier supplements. Yet B12 is indispensable for proper nerve conduction, which is essential for muscle activation. If your nerves can't relay signals efficiently, your muscles won't contract properly, eventually leading to atrophy. This deficiency can sneak up gradually, leaving people to blame aging for their weakness. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), in a 2016 Global Nutrition Report, B12 deficiency is one of the under-recognized factors contributing to muscle weakness, especially in older populations who may have absorption issues. This is particularly relevant if you use medications such as proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux or metformin for type 2 diabetes. Both can hamper your body's ability to absorb B12, exacerbating a deficiency that might already exist. Common signals include unexplained fatigue, numbness or tingling in the extremities, and unsteady gait. One reason for the gait instability is that B12 is critical for myelin, the protective sheath surrounding nerve fibers. If that sheath erodes, nerve signals become erratic or slow, leaving your muscles confused. The result can be tremors or that dreaded wobbly legs. Feeling blood tests can confirm if you're low in this vitamin. Many doctors put minimal emphasis on B12 until someone shows severe deficiency symptoms, but subtle shortfalls can still undermine muscle function. Foods like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy are the primary sources, but as we age, our stomachs produce less acid, further reducing absorption from dietary sources. Often experts recommend a daily intake of at least 2-4 micrograms, yet older folks may require substantially more to compensate for these absorption challenges. If you can't maintain normal levels through diet, a supplement of methylcobalamin, a more active form of B12, or even periodic injections can make a world of difference. According to a 2019 article in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, older participants who tackled borderline B12 deficiency saw a boost in muscle coordination after only a few weeks of targeted supplementation. The big takeaway: don't brush off random muscle tremors or that deadened sense of balance. Over time, nerve damage from inadequate B12 can become irreversible. If you want to maintain the link between your brain and your body, consider testing your levels and plugging any gaps. 4. Vitamin C, more than an immune booster. Ask most people about vitamin C, and they'll talk about its role in warding off the common cold, but its significance extends far beyond immunity, particularly when it comes to muscle upkeep. For starters, vitamin C is crucial for synthesizing collagen, one of the key structural proteins in the body. While collagen is often discussed in the context of skin health, it also fortifies the connective tissues around your muscles, helping stabilize them and reduce the likelihood of strain. A 2020 study in the journal Nutrients showed that older adults with higher vitamin C levels generally exhibited better grip strength compared to those with lower levels. Researchers concluded that the vitamin's antioxidant properties neutralizing harmful free radicals played a central role in preserving muscle integrity. Essentially, every time your muscles perform a contraction, they produce metabolic byproducts that can damage tissue if not neutralized. Vitamin C helps mop up these toxins. Another aspect is energy production. Your body needs vitamin C for the synthesis of carnitine, a compound that aids your muscles in converting fat into fuel. If you're short on vitamin C, you might find it harder to harness energy effectively, resulting in sluggishness and decreased endurance. This may start as mild but can evolve into noticeable weakness during routine activities. The recommended daily allowance is typically set at around 75 milligrams for older women and 90 milligrams for older men. However, many researchers hint that these bare minimum targets may be insufficient if your goal is robust muscle support. Consuming up to 200 or 300 milligrams daily through a combination of food sources like citrus peppers, berries, and tomatoes, plus a reputable supplement, seems to deliver a stronger protective effect. But does that mean you should load up on vitamin C tablets indiscriminately? Not necessarily. High doses over 2,000 milligrams per day could trigger gastrointestinal issues in some individuals. A balanced approach, ideally guided by a physician, is the safest route. Vitamin C might not be the flashiest nutrient on this list, but ignoring its role in collagen formation and antioxidant defense is a mistake you could pay for with diminished muscle resilience. Turkey dinner no one. 5. Magnesium, the overlooked mineral for muscle function. Although not labeled a vitamin, magnesium is so foundational to muscle and nerve functionality that omitting it here would leave a glaring hole. This mineral is pivotal for both muscle contraction and relaxation. When calcium floods a muscle fiber, it triggers a contraction. Magnesium is what helps usher calcium out so the muscle can relax. Without enough magnesium, your muscles stay in partial contraction, leading to spasms, cramps, and chronic tension. A 2022 review published in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition indicated that older populations are especially prone to magnesium deficiency, up to 60% of seniors in certain areas. Contributing factors include poor dietary choices, malabsorption issues, and the use of diuretic medications that flush minerals out of the body. The side effects of insufficient magnesium go beyond leg cramps at night. It can also accelerate muscle breakdown by hindering protein synthesis. To complicate matters, numerous seniors who experience subtle deficiency symptoms, such as persistent fatigue and muscle weakness, attribute them to typical aging. Unaware that a daily magnesium supplement could significantly alleviate these issues, they soldier on, risking more severe depletion. The potential consequences extend to bone health, as magnesium helps regulate vitamin D and calcium balance, tying into the bigger picture of skeletal and muscular well-being. The recommended dietary allowance for magnesium stands at about 320 milligrams for older women and 420 for older men. Yet the average diet, especially one heavy in processed foods, often falls short. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and legumes are strong sources. But if your diet lacks these, supplementation might be your safety net. Forms like magnesium glycinate or citrate are generally more gentle on the stomach, minimizing the laxative effect that dissuades many older individuals from continuing supplementation. If you're on certain prescriptions, blood pressure meds, proton pump inhibitors, consult your physician before adding magnesium, as interactions can occur. But skipping magnesium altogether is a risky gamble for seniors hoping to maintain muscle capacity. In short, this mineral is an unheralded key player that ensures your muscle contractions are efficient and balanced, rather than chaotic and exhausting. Creatine. 6. Creatine, not just for bodybuilders. 39. The final powerhouse supplement is often associated with young gym enthusiasts, but recent evidence points to creatine as a game changer for seniors. Here's why. Creatine is a molecule stored primarily in muscle tissue, where it helps produce adenosine triphosphate ATP, the gold standard of cellular energy. Without ample ATP, your muscles struggle to handle everyday tasks, let alone more strenuous activity. As we age, our natural creatine reserves deplete, and the body's ability to generate new muscle fiber drops substantially. A study from the Journals of Gerontology series A 2019 found that older adults who supplemented with 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily alongside light resistance training gained more strength and muscle mass than those who relied on exercise alone. Specifically, these seniors reported better stability in their knees and hips, leading to fewer stumbles over the course of the study. Creatine also appears to enhance satellite cell activity, those specialized cells that help repair and grow muscle tissue. In older adults, satellite cell efficiency can shrink to about 50% of what it was in younger years, slowing muscle recovery. By stimulating these cells, creatine essentially rejuvenates your muscle building potential, enabling noticeable gains from relatively mild exercise. Another perk: emerging research hints at benefits to cognitive health. One hypothesis is that the brain's cellular energy demands also get a lift from creatine, potentially improving mental sharpness. While more studies are needed to confirm these cognitive enhancements, early findings suggest a twofold advantage, bodily and mental, for senior individuals who incorporate creatine responsibly. As always, speak with a doctor to ensure creatine won't conflict with your current medication or kidney status. Assuming you get the green light 3 to 5 grams per day without the high loading phases typical of bodybuilders is often recommended. You don't have to go overboard. More is not necessarily better, especially for older adults. Instead, consistency, taking creatine on a daily basis, might provide the best avenue to maintain or regain muscle mass. Point. Action plan: your step-by-step strategy to guard against muscle loss. Now that we've unpacked the 6 essential players: CoQ10, vitamin D, vitamin B12, vitamin C, magnesium, and creatine, it's time to map out a clear action plan. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the details, take heart. The simplest approach often yields the best outcomes. Start by consulting your primary care physician or a registered dietitian to evaluate your nutritional status. A few basic blood tests can reveal glaring shortages. Once you have data, draft a plan to address deficiencies systematically. For instance, if you discover that your vitamin D levels are abysmally low, you might begin with a therapeutic dose for 2 to 3 months, followed by a maintenance dose. Meanwhile, incorporate dietary changes to support that. Focus on fish, fortified dairy, and moderate sun exposure. 15 minutes a day, arms exposed. Next, examine your medication list with your physician to see if any prescriptions might be depleting your levels of CoQ10, magnesium, or B12. If that's the case, you can discuss alternative medications or appropriate supplementation. Do not stop taking prescribed meds on your own. This is about adjustment, not abandonment. The goal is synergy between your treatments and your nutritional support. As you fine-tune your supplement regimen, layer in moderate exercise. You don't have to become a gym rat. Even gentle resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, or short routine walks can make a tremendous difference. According to Dr. Michael Greger, noted for his work with the Nutrition Facts organization, referencing a 2020 meta-analysis in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, pairing proper nutrition with low-impact strength training amplifies muscle gains significantly more than either one alone. Begin with something like a 15-minute circuit at home, seated leg raises, wall push-ups, or step-ups on your bottom stair. Track your progress. You might notice in as little as a few weeks that tasks like opening pickle jars or rising from chairs become simpler. Progress can be slow but steady, often overshadowed by the gloom and doom that aging inevitably means losing function. That's a myth, and you can break it. As your muscles strengthen, your heart, lungs, and overall resilience improve, providing a shield against that hidden heart attack risk. You're essentially calibrating your entire system to function more efficiently. With stronger muscles, even your posture and balance get a boost, reducing your chances of dangerous falls. Come on, you want off him on. You want in a call to comment. Have you ever noticed this sign? Comment "I feel it" if you relate, "I'm safe" if not, and add a question for the doctor. Virality enhancer, the missing spark, personal stories and challenges. You might be asking, why is muscle health so often swept under the rug? The answer: fear or denial. Many of us don't want to acknowledge that we could become dependent. Let's stoke that wake-up call with a couple more real-life snapshots, no sugarcoating. One is the story of Jim, a 69-year-old retiree from a desk job in accounting. He rarely felt the need to exercise. After retirement, he spent hours reading and watching television, fairly content, until he noticed it was getting harder and harder to stand without using his arms to push off the chair. Doctors eventually identified dangerously low magnesium and borderline B12 levels, likely from acid reflux medication that impaired absorption. Jim's energy was so depleted he was often short of breath just strolling through his house. His physician recommended a slow, structured approach to nutritional supplementation and mild resistance training. Within a month, Jim reported less fatigue and discovered he could complete a flight of stairs without pausing. That's a huge gain for someone who was on a downhill trajectory. The lesson: you may not realize how essential these nutrients are until you're in such a deficit that daily life becomes an ordeal. Another example is Clara, a 72-year-old part-time florist who loved her job but found herself dropping vases because her grip strength had diminished. At first, she believed it was arthritis, but after a careful workup, her doctor discovered severely low vitamin C and vitamin D levels. With consistent supplementation plus a small investment in a few portable hand-strengthening devices, Clara regained her ability to handle her tasks. The experience, while humbling, allowed her to keep the job she adored, maintaining her sense of purpose in social interaction. These stories underline an urgent truth: if you neglect your muscle health, you're essentially rolling out the welcome mat for decreased independence, hidden cardiovascular strain, and a host of metabolic complications. It's time for direct action. The 24-hour challenge today aimed to assess how many grams of protein you're getting, how many fruits or vegetables you eat, and your rough intake of water. Also, observe your posture while you're seated. Are you slumping? Do you need to brace your arms to stand? Write these observations down. Awareness is step one, the 7-day checklist, which you can share with friends or family. Day 1, book or request a blood test for vitamin D, B12, and possibly magnesium levels. Day 2, start a simple routine, 10 minutes of mild resistance exercises, chair squats, wall push-ups in the morning. Day 3, add or increase your intake of a nutrient-packed food: spinach for magnesium, eggs for B12, or salmon for vitamin D. Day 4, speak with a pharmacist about medication interactions that might sap your CoQ10 or B12. Day 5, introduce a brief 10-minute walk in the afternoon, focusing on posture and steady breathing. Day 6, check your supplement labels. Are you using forms like D3-methylcobalamin, B12, or a reliable magnesium glycinate? Make changes as needed. Day 7, review your progress. Are you standing easier, less fatigued? Document any positive changes. By following this 7-day structure, you turn an overwhelming prospect into doable steps. You can even invite a neighbor or relative to join you. Sharing daily wins like completing a small workout or noticing improved mood can spark more motivation than you'd ever expect. Each action you take fortifies your muscle reserves, wards off the draining effect of age-related decline, and reduces that hidden heart attack risk. These bite-sized improvements may be the difference between a future of robust independence and one spent worrying if you can manage simple daily tasks alone. Credibility and trust. Expert quotes. We've already referenced leading bodies such as Johns Hopkins University and the WHO, but let's reinforce the science further. Dr. Michael Greger, a renowned physician specializing in public health nutrition, stated in a 2020 talk, nutritionforseniors presentation, muscle integrity in older adulthood is deeply connected to micronutrient sufficiency. Overlooking something as simple as B12 or vitamin D can have lasting repercussions on mobility. The Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health 2021 summary emphasized maintaining vitamin D sufficiency in later years is essential for muscle strength and fall prevention, not solely for bone health. A 2020 paper in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging noted, incorporating creatine in targeted exercise regimens can significantly restore muscle mass in seniors, even those previously considered too frail for conventional workouts. None of these are fringe statements. They come from reputable sources who base their conclusions on controlled studies. But the real challenge is bridging the gap between knowledge and action. Folks read an article or watch a video about these nutrients and think, that's interesting, then continue their same habits. In the meantime, muscle cells are quietly deteriorating, sometimes at alarming rates. Let's also affirm that different individuals respond in unique ways. One person might see immediate benefits with magnesium supplementation, whereas another might notice minimal change until they also incorporate more protein and mild exercise. Our bodies are interlinked systems that need synergy. That's why we talk about these 6 nutrients collectively, because each one addresses a distinct yet overlapping piece of the puzzle. It's likewise crucial to mention that none of this is a green light to ignore existing medical advice. If you have a heart condition, consult your physician about how these supplements might fit into your regimen. If you have kidney issues, you'll want to confirm the safe dosage of creatine and magnesium. The goal is a well-rounded approach, not a random pile of pills. Ultimately, trust the process, but stay vigilant. Keep an eye on your blood work, your muscle performance, and any side effects. Document how you feel. Knowledge can only take you so far. Implementation is where transformation happens. Current ethical reminder and safety note. At no point should you abandon any treatment plan without talking to your healthcare provider. Supplements and dietary changes can be powerful, but they are part of a broader health strategy. Certain prescription medications must be continued, and abrupt discontinuation is dangerous. Always remember, consult your physician. The urgency here is not to scare you into reckless decisions, but to highlight that ignoring muscle health can have dire outcomes: mobility limitations, fractures, cardiometabolic risks, and a general decline in quality of life. The tension we introduce is a call to attention, not a push to panic. You should feel empowered, not helpless. Shonin. Gaikoni. 3. Deeper science, how they work in tandem. Consider how these nutrients converge on muscle function. CoQ10 addresses the mitochondrial shortfall fueling cells so they can generate adequate energy. Vitamin D primes muscle receptors, ensuring contractions remain strong and stable. Vitamin B12 undergirds the nerve transmission that tells those muscles how to move. Vitamin C bolsters connective tissue and removes damaging free radicals. Magnesium balances calcium for proper contraction and relaxation. Creatine replenishes ATP reserves and revs up muscle repair cells. It's a symphony. Missing one instrument can make the entire performance sound off-key. For instance, you could take creatine daily, but if your vitamin D is suboptimal, you might never see the full benefits in muscle force or endurance. Or if you load up on B12 while ignoring magnesium deficiency, your muscle cramps could persist, thwarting an overall gain in mobility. Individuals differ in how they metabolize and store these nutrients. That's why some research indicates a synergy effect. A 2021 pilot study in the European Review of Aging and Physical Activity found that seniors who corrected multiple deficiencies simultaneously gained more strength than those who addressed just one nutrient. It underscores the team approach. Skeptics might argue that a balanced diet alone can supply everything. In an ideal world, yes. But real-world data from the National Institute on Aging suggests that most diets are far from balanced, especially in older populations, coping with medication side effects, decreased appetite, or swallowing difficulties. Supplements under medical guidance can bridge that gap in a practical, timely manner. Another vital point: after addressing glaring shortages, you might need to pivot to a maintenance plan that blends moderate supplementation with strategic meal planning. Lean protein, ample fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, and whole grains all provide a spectrum of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that feed muscle tissues. But that synergy doesn't happen by accident. It requires conscious decisions at the grocery store and in the kitchen. Subetin, or 7-day challenge, in detail. Let's expand on the 7-day checklist to ensure it sparks viral engagement and genuine transformation. You can share it with neighbors, church groups, or online forums. The key is to make each day's activity short but impactful. Day 1. Testing time. Kick off by scheduling or requesting blood work for vitamin D and B12. Make a note to check your magnesium levels too. If you can't get the test right away, mark a calendar reminder. Use this day to measure your baseline mobility. How many chair stands can you do in 30 seconds? On Day 2, easy routines. Introduce basic bodyweight exercises. 5 tana or 10 squats using the arms of a sturdy chair for balance, or 5 minutes of walking in place if you can't go outside. Focus on form, not speed. End with a tall glass of water because hydration also matters for muscle function. Day 3, nutrient boost. Add an extra source of magnesium such as spinach or almonds, or incorporate a vitamin D-rich meal like salmon. Check your daily protein target. Older adults often need around 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. If you weigh 70 kilograms, 154 observes that's 84 grams daily. Track it. Autori, Day 4. Medication check. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about any prescriptions that could deplete key nutrients. For instance, are you on a statin which might lower your CoQ10? Do you use metformin, which can affect B12 absorption? Document any recommended adjustments or supplement strategies. Summer, Day 5. Walk and assess. Go for a slightly longer walk, maybe 10-15 minutes. If you're unsteady, bring a friend or use a walker. Notice any improvement in stamina since Day 2. Keep hydrating. Day 6. Supplement optimization. If your tests are back, assess what type of vitamin D supplement you might need. Are you severely deficient or borderline? Also consider if you're a candidate for B12 or magnesium supplementation. Remember that forms like methylcobalamin B12 or magnesium glycinate might be best for many older adults. Day 7. Reflection and goal setting. Recheck your chair stand count. Can you do more than you did on Day 1 without feeling as tired? Observe if your posture has improved. Make short notes or a journal entry about how your body feels lighter, stronger, or no change at all. Then decide on a next step like continuing for another week or adding gentle resistance bands. Why does this matter? Because small successes breed momentum. A single day of improvement can give you the motivation to keep going. That's how you transition from barely moving to confidently planning errands, outings, or social events without worrying if you'll have the strength to keep up. Share these daily tasks with someone you trust or even in online groups for seniors. Post progress updates. Encourage each other. The potential for virality is high when people see real changes in others. It becomes a communal effort to combat muscle decline rather than a solitary battle you fight alone. Tijuana Sarush. Additional case study, fear factor enhanced. Let's revisit the fear factor by spotlighting a chilling scenario. Imagine Jim from earlier ignoring all of the signs for a year. His fatigue grew so severe that one afternoon he blacked out while trying to get up too quickly, hitting his head on the kitchen countertop. The subsequent hospital visit revealed not just dangerously low magnesium, but also pre-diabetes and significant vitamin D deficiency. Because he'd lost so much muscle mass, his body was in a state of chronic stress, putting extra pressure on his heart. The blow to his head required stitches and the medical bills piled up. But the real cost was his shattered confidence. That's the risk of inaction. A minor deficiency can escalate into a major incident. Recovery is far tougher when muscle and bone strength are both compromised. Although Jim eventually bounced back, he spent months in therapy and even then was never quite the same. The key takeaway: don't wait until a crisis arises. If you've been noticing subtle signs, wobbliness, constant fatigue, mild tremors, these might not be random. They could be your body's way of screaming, "I need support." By taking preemptive steps, you potentially avert life-altering accidents and reduce your vulnerability to cardiovascular complications. That's not fear-mongering, it's reality. Just like ignoring a strange noise in your car's engine can lead to a breakdown in the middle of the highway, ignoring warnings from your own body can lead to a catastrophic health event. Recap and conclusion. Let's boil down the essentials to ensure they stick. 16 key nutrients: CoQ10, vitamin D, vitamin B12, vitamin C, magnesium, and creatine. Each tackle a distinct aspect of muscle maintenance and repair. 2 synergy matters. Correcting just one deficiency might help, but real success often comes from addressing multiple gaps, especially if you're over 65. 3 action beats: complacency, strength training, mindful nutrition, and targeted supplementation together form your shield against age-related muscle decline. If you found value here, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Share this script with a friend who might be neglecting these nutrients and let them know that muscle loss is neither trivial nor guaranteed. We can change the narrative around aging to keep the dialogue going. What's your biggest concern about maintaining muscle mass? Do you fear dependence, or are you more worried about hidden heart risks? Share your thoughts below. Invitation to engage. Like, subscribe, and pass this video along to someone you know who's 65 plus or nearing retirement age. Chapter, join the conversation in the comments. Remember, I feel it if you see these signs in your life, and I'm safe if you're not experiencing them. Ask a question for the doctor. Let's open a supportive community dedicated to keeping each other strong and mobile. End with an open question. Open question. If you could choose only one muscle-protecting nutrient to prioritize, which would it be? And why? Stay vigilant, stay informed, and consult your physician at each step. Your muscles and your future independence are worth every ounce of effort you invest.